Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Paranormal News. Tonight's article comes from WeGotThisCovered.com. And the headline, and I'm very excited about this one. The headline is Robert Englund expected to return for new Nightmare on Elm Street movie. It was written by Niraj Chand 11 months ago. The Nightmare on Elm Street franchise may have passed into obscurity with the release of the 2010 series reboot that disappointed fans and critics alike. But the original films starring Robert Englund as the notorious dream killer Freddy Krueger are still considered horror classics. So strong is the nostalgia factor for those movies that we're now hearing a new film is in the works, and it'll bring back all the best parts of the original. Most importantly, Englund himself. The Halloween series recently underwent a reboot sequel, reimagining of sorts, where it ignored all of the sequels in the franchise and posed as a direct follow-up to the first one. Apparently, a similar approach will be taken for the new Nightmare on Elm Street movie, which is now starting to come together. That was just weird, to be honest with you, how they kind of just ignored all the other movies and went straight as Halloween 2 as if all the other ones didn't exist. Kind of strange. I enjoyed the movie, though. It was damn good. According to recent reports, the Craven estate is currently in the process of considering pitches for a new story within the Krueger mythology that can be expanded across films and television. And according to sources close to WGTC, the same ones who told us Bill Murray would be returning for Ghostbusters 3 and that a new Scream movie was in the works, both of which have since been confirmed. Englund is expected to once again put on the striped shirt, fedora, and glove knives and terrorize a new generation of viewers. Although the actor's in his 70s, he's still very active in the business and has been working steadily for the past few decades, even though none of his other roles have gained the iconic status that Freddy enjoys among horror fans worldwide. Of course, Englund's often expressed his willingness to play the character again, and fans are in widespread agreement that no other actor would be able to bring the same level of menace and off-kilter humor to the role as he has. Apart from Englund, other significant characters from the original Nightmare on Elm Street are also said to be making a return for the new film. Kind of like how the upcoming Halloween sequels are bringing back some familiar faces from the franchise's past. It's unclear as yet who may be showing up, and plot details are still being kept under wraps. But from what we're told, the producers are definitely expecting Englund to return, and as long as he's involved, fans should have nothing to worry about. And that is the end of this article. And as I said, I am incredibly excited to have a new Nightmare on Elm Street movie coming out, and especially to have a new Nightmare on Elm Street movie coming out with Robert Englund in it as Freddy. The very first horror movie that I ever remember watching was the first Nightmare on Elm Street movie. I remember I went to the theater to see that as a child, and I was fascinated. The first one was a scary movie. It was amazing. The ones after that got silly and funny, but the first one was so scary, and I just absolutely loved it. I thought it was the greatest movie ever, and I was hooked. And to this day, Freddy Krueger is still my all-time favorite, like horror villain, monster, whatever you want to call it. I really enjoy it. And I kind of like that whole subgenre of horror where you have the killer or the monster or the creature that is killing everybody. I'm a big fan of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. I love the Halloween movies, the Friday the 13th movies, even like Child's Play. I even like Chucky, the Leprechaun movies, even though they're kind of silly, but I really enjoy that kind of stuff. I'm not much on like the ghost movies. Like everybody talks about The Exorcist and how amazing that movie is. I never really got into it, to be honest with you. That's a movie, I'm sure everybody already knows this, but that's a movie about demonic possession, about a girl that gets possessed by a demon. And it just didn't do it for me. And I really don't care much for the ghost movies, like The Haunting of whatever. They're not scary. there's very few of them that are worth anything. I hate the found footage genre too. The whole Blair Witch Project, Paranormal Activity, all those kind of movies are absolute garbage, I think. But give me a good old creature feature, and I'm a happy man. I love movies about monsters, and even the crazier the better. You know, I'm a big fan of Godzilla. I love watching Godzilla movies. I watched all the old Japanese Godzilla movies where you had like Godzilla vs. King Kong, Godzilla vs. Mothra, all that kind of stuff. I love that stuff. And yes, it is absolutely cheesy as hell, but there's just something beautiful about it. So the reason I tell you all that is to let you know that I am a big fan of the Nightmare on Elm Street series. And I tried very hard to give the new Freddy a chance. Because I realized that Robert Englund's getting older and maybe he doesn't want to play that role forever. I would play that role until I was too old to do it anymore. I don't know why actors are like that. It makes no sense. They don't like to get typecast into a role and they get mad when everybody looks at them as that character. That should make you happy. That's an honor. That means that you did so well that they can't even imagine anybody else being that character but you. So that should be a badge of honor for them. But for some reason, it pisses them off. I don't know why. So I tried really hard to accept the new version of Freddy and tried to give it a chance. But to be honest, it was horrible. It was so bad. It was just really, really not good. And I kind of played this little game with some of my friends where we tried to think of people that would make a good Freddy and imagine those different actors as Freddy. And one interesting one that actually other people were talking about, there was even articles written about this guy potentially taking over the role of Freddy, and that was Kevin Bacon. And I thought that would be an interesting character because Kevin Bacon is a really good actor. So I know that he would do well in it. He has been in horror movies before. So he's no stranger to the genre. And I would just like to see that. I don't know if he could pull off the humor part, but I would like to see that. Another funny one that I thought of was Johnny Depp. Could you imagine Johnny Depp as Freddy Krueger? Imagine like Johnny Depp doing the Captain Jack Sparrow type character as Freddy Krueger. That would be crazy. I'm not saying it would be good. It definitely wouldn't be scary. That would be on the comedic side of Freddy. But it would be interesting. Let me know down in the comments of this video who you think ought to take over the Freddy franchise when Robert Englund does retire, because the article said he's like 73 or something right now. So chances are he's not going to be doing this too much longer. He might have another Nightmare on Elm Street movie in him, and if we're lucky and blessed enough, then we might get a couple more out of him. I mean, we can only hope. But eventually he's going to have to hang up the glove. So when he does, is that the end of Freddy? Do we just let Freddy die? I mean, Freddy is such a iconic figure. I mean, such a great character. I would hate to see it go away. So we're going to have to replace him with somebody eventually. So who should that be? Let me know down in the comments what your thoughts are, what your suggestion would be. Who do you think would make a really good Freddy Krueger? In my mind, it has to be somebody that can be scary, but at the same time has that comedy angle to them. Because Freddy is funny. Freddy is a wisecracking, smart-ass character. Yes, he's scary. Yes, he'll slice you apart, but he's known for his one-liners and all of his funny little gags. So it has to be somebody that can pull that off. I think that's where they screwed up when they tried to replace him, is they didn't stick with the comedy section of it. That's so important because otherwise Freddy gets dull real quick. You know, the great thing about Freddy and what made him such an iconic character, I think, is the fact that he was funny and he was a wise ass. And everybody loved that. It was cockiness. It was just great, you know. I also really like the fact that they did not stick with his actual backstory through the whole series, because his backstory makes him very difficult to love. For those that don't know the backstory of Freddy Krueger, he was a child molester that was doing bad things to children and murdering them. And the parents got together and they went and they trapped him in his house and set him on fire and killed him. That's the actual backstory of Freddy Krueger. They don't really play up the whole child molester part in the series. They make it more like he was just a child killer, which I think was smart. Because nobody likes a child molester. Those people are horrible. And it would be very difficult to actually give a damn about the character if it was a child molester. I wouldn't support it. So anyway, I wanted to share this with you guys because I'm so excited to have Robert Englund back. And God willing, he will do many, many more. We can only hope. So I hope that you enjoyed this article. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, all that jazz, and I will catch you in the next one. Till I speak to you again, love many, trust few, and do harm to none. God loves you, and so do I. Bye-bye.